What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Tune in to Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD, and join the conversation about how to heal our broken system to reverse our current health crisis. The entire world is looking for answers, and the truth is hidden in plain sight. Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, when you can call in and ask the questions that matter most to you.
And we're live.
Thank you, Rachel. Hello and welcome to Awakened Wellness. I am your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and we are live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. It's a beautiful spring afternoon here in Jupiter, Florida, and I'm looking forward to this broadcast. So give us a call. We're live today, area code 646-558-8656, and please hit *9 to raise your hand. I'd love to hear your comments. As always, I love the amazing questions that our viewers and listeners ask. And here we go. So today's topic is how to boost the immune system. So Rachel and I were briefly talking about, the resurgence of bird flu. And, of course, we had the flu and we had COVID. And, there are always things in the air circulating out and about, right? And of course, there's no magic vaccine for all of them. There's no magic treatment for all of them. And so the bottom line is we have to be capable of fighting these infections off on our own, right? And people often think, well, it's just luck of the draw if I get sick, if I happen to be next to somebody who got sick, or, somebody sneezed on me, it's luck of the draw whether or not I get sick. And that's not really the case. The truth is, if your immune system is primed and ready, you won't catch anything, right? Now, that doesn't mean you won't ever catch anything, but you won't catch every little thing that you're exposed to. Because the truth is, we're exposed to all kinds of things all the time. It's only when they end up on the news that we know that they're floating around, but the truth is they're always floating around, right? There are gastrointestinal bugs that people get. There are, there's meningitis. There are all kinds of infections that are out there. And that has existed since the beginning of time, right? Bacteria were here before we were. Viruses were here before we were. So we're the new kids on the block when we consider the entire ecosystem of planet Earth. And so when you're the new kid on the block, you have to adapt, right? You can't expect everybody just to kind of pull out the red carpet and let you walk past, right? You have to be adapted to the environment. And so today we're going to talk about how do we do that? How do we adapt to this environment that we live in? And the truth is you can avoid a lot of infections, a lot of diseases in general, if your immune system is sufficiently boosted. So the immune system, as we're learning the hard way, is an extremely complicated system. And it's unfortunately actually quite fragile. The main arch nemesis of the immune system is stress. And so stress management is absolutely essential for anyone who wants to prevent infection. Without that, you're kind of dead in the water. It's like you're in the middle of the ocean with no oars. And so stress management is first and foremost on anybody's list of immune boosting. And why is that, right? If we look at the human body and how it's adapted to live on planet Earth, we have a fight or flight mechanism. Our fight or flight mechanism is essential to our survival. It is what keys us in to predators, dangers, and it allows us to stay alive. And so it is essential. And so obviously the fight or flight system is our stress system. And so when we perceive a predator or a threat, fight or flight is instantaneously turned on. And of course, that is a stressor to your body because it does not want to be threatened. And so fight or flight is necessary. What we see in the first couple minutes of a fight or flight response is the immune system is boosted. So everybody's on high alert, looking out for danger. And so the immune system is actually stronger when we experience an acute stress for about a minute or two, right? Because acute stress shouldn't last more than a minute or two. The problem today is our stress doesn't seem to go away because it is subconscious stress. It is not overt stress. It is the conversations we have in the back of our heads with ourselves. It is the unconscious fears that we have. It is financial stress. It's work-related stress. It's the toxins in our environment. It's potentially relationship stress. And so our bodies still consider those to be threats. And so our body remains on high alert. We don't feel that level of high alert because your body is also very intelligent. It knows that if I'm constantly on high alert, I'm going to die. So too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. So your body knows fight or flight's important, but it also knows if I don't dampen it to some extent, it's going to kill me. And so your brain starts to normalize stress. And so it starts to somewhat temper the responses that you have to stress so that it almost feels normal to you. The danger with stress feeling normal is that we don't consider it to be a stress. But the problem is that inside of your body's own cells, where there is no brain, your cells don't get the memo that it's not under acute threat anymore. Your cells don't realize that they're not still being attacked because they don't have eyes to see. They don't have a brain to calculate. They're just getting signals from the brain itself. And so while the brain is tempering stress responses, it's still sending stress responses down into the cells. So your brain is telling you, oh, this is just traffic. It's not an immediate threat to your life. You're still annoyed by the traffic, right? You're still wondering if you're going to get to work on time or if you're going to miss the meeting or miss your appointment. So subconsciously, you're still stressed, but your heart's not pounding, you're not having an acute stress response, but you're still having a stress response. And so your cells are still responding as though they are under immediate threat. The problem there is, number one, we're not supposed to have chronic stress. Stress is supposed to be acute for the most part. We're not supposed to have this ongoing 24/7 stress that we see in modern society. And so the immune system's on high alert for the first few minutes, and then it drops. So as your brain tries to normalize the stress, it drops your immunity. Because it understands I can't have my immune system constantly on high alert or it's going to run a gas. So it just tempers it down. Now you're open to infection. So until there's a mechanism in place where you are doing stress management techniques and you can override your brain and send calming signals down into your body, your immune system will be constantly suppressed or reduced. And that is the main reason that we're experiencing what we're experiencing now. And so I always talk about breathing. I always talk about meditation. We have to find a way to tell our bodies that it's okay, that we're okay. And the only way to do that consistently is with proper breathing and meditation techniques. So our breath is really the most critical factor in boosting our immunity. So it's not a supplement, it's not a test, it's actually our breath and how we breathe. And it turns out that every single breath that you take sends a signal to your brain to either panic or relax. And remember, your brain can subconsciously panic. You could be in panic mode and you don't even know it because there's toxins from the atmosphere coming in and other things going on. So it's always best to assume your brain is in panic mode unless you have taken the breath that tells it to calm itself down. And the magic number is 5 seconds. So breathing in for 5 seconds and then breathing out for 5 seconds is that magic physiological number that tells your brain that everything is fine. And so now what it does is it sends calming signals down into your body. Now your cells are being bathed with calming hormones, calming neuropeptides and other things that tell them, okay, everything is okay. I can relax now. Now your immune system is no longer suppressed. And they have done some studies on meditation and immune boosting. The problem is most of them are subjective. In other words, we don't have blood tests that we do and other tests that are done. But subjectively, people say they feel better. They don't get as sick when they meditate. There was one study done, published in 2021 on very intensive medication because they were looking for changes in blood levels of various immune cells and what are called cytokines or inflammatory markers. And they did show a significant increase in immunity with intense meditation. The truth is you don't need blood work to know that, because your body doesn't necessarily protect and defend you through your bloodstream. And so for those of you who watched my other podcast about the nasal mucosa, the mouth and the nose, understand that viruses and bacteria come in through here. They don't just automatically pop up in the blood. And so looking at the blood work for markers of immunity is not the most beneficial. And so it makes sense that if we override stress, if we override the brain and tell it to respond in a way that the body can relax, it will relax. And we also know that once the body is relaxed and not under stress, the immune system is boosted. So we don't need studies per se, it's just physiology and common sense, right? I think we have some questions. Let's see. What are your thoughts on infusions for low iron levels? I'm assuming that's to boost immunity, the question. So iron deficiency has been shown to be one cause of immune deficiency. The problem with iron infusions is that they can be quite unsafe, just to be blunt. There are quite a few systemic reactions that can occur from IV iron, intravenous iron. The best way really is oral, eating foods that are high in iron content, green leafy vegetables. If you don't have issues with eating red meats, then red meats are a rich source of iron as well. Of course, organic red meat, pasture raised red meat. But IV infusions for iron in particular are not terribly safe. Almost any other nutrient is perfectly fine, but iron is a bit problematic. So hope that answers your question. And then here we go. I've noticed on your shows, you seem to be working out as your arms are more defined. So my question is working out a good way to build up my immune system? Yes. I love working out. I hated it at first. I was in high school playing basketball, and my coach, whom I did not like at first, and now is one of my dearest friends in life, Coach Georges, told me I have to go to the gym and I have to start, lifting weights. And it was awful. I hated it. And then I got better at basketball. And I started to correlate, hey, wait, I'm in better shape and I'm playing really well. And I ended up, being the first player in school history to score 1,000 points and get over 500 rebounds. And it was pretty good. So I thought, well, you know what, something to this working out thing. I didn't know it before, but now we have studies, right? And I didn't know to look at the studies. I was in high school. But now we have studies, yes, that working out boosts immunity. And so there's always the raging debate, cardio or strength training, which should I do? And of course, it depends, right? I'm not a huge cardio fan, although I do some cardio. I'm more of a weightlifting resistance training fan. I believe that it is more, what's the word? Consolidating, right? So you get bigger when you lift weights. So that means you are storing energy. And I like that aspect of it. So there's something a little bit anti-aging about weight training that you don't get with cardio. And we are seeing studies now to start confirming that. I do a little bit of cardio after my workout. I'll do like some recline biking, and that's just to blow off some lactic acid and to kind of cool down from the workout. So I don't do a lot of cardio. The thing I don't love about cardio is you're only burning calories for as long as you're on the cardio machine. As soon as you get off, you're not burning calories anymore. With strength training, you're literally burning calories 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so I like that aspect of it better. You have to move around, right? So I go from one set to another set. I don't necessarily do a lot of resting. So yes, absolutely. I'll do like 20 minutes of very light cardio, and I'll read a book. Like I've read more books doing cardio and just really light. I like to be able to have one gauge I tell people is make sure you can have full conversations while you're doing your cardio after you've done your strength training. So you don't have to really drive yourself crazy doing cardio. And the other thing is your body habituates to cardio. It gets used to cardio. And so you would have to do longer and longer sessions of cardio or increase your intensity over and over to get the same gains. And I'm just not a fan of that. Whereas if you're doing strength training, you just change up the exercises that you're doing, and that keeps your body guessing. And so, that's what I prefer. And yes, it absolutely boosts immunity. So great question. Thank you for that one. We have time for one more, so we'll do one more question. I read an article last week that reported that women suffer 80% of autoimmune diseases compared to men. Yes. Unfortunately, it is true. She says, first, I hope it isn't true. Second, if true, what can I do to not be a part of that statistic? Well, boost your immunity, right? So people make the assumption that autoimmune diseases are a hyperactivity of the immune system. The vast majority of the time, it's actually a weakening of the immune system, which causes it not to be able to regulate itself. And so when the immune system can't regulate itself, what you're going to find is it underperforms over here, overperforms over there, and there's no balance. So it can't turn on certain reactions or turn them off when it wants to. And so we call that an autoimmune disease when that results in those immune factors attacking our own bodies. Most of the time, it's due to a weakened immune system and not an overactive immune system per se. So most of the time, what we find in our clients with autoimmune disorders is, of course, unfortunately, they have a gut issue, right? The gut houses 80% of the immune system. And so if the system that houses the immune system is broken, then by definition, your immune system is also broken. And so that's number one, we have to fix that. So if you want to prevent autoimmune diseases, you have to look at the gastrointestinal system first. Turns out that stress also suppresses the gastrointestinal system. So when you're under stress, your bowels don't move at the same rate. They slow down. And so for some people that results in constipation. For other people, it results in diarrhea because the large intestine can't absorb water properly. And so the water stays in the stool and it comes out loose. And so any gastrointestinal system symptoms that people have, I tell my clients, do not ignore any GI symptoms. Nausea, heartburn, bloating after food, constipation, diarrhea. Do not ignore any of those symptoms. Get them checked out. The difficulty that people have is when they go get them checked out, they have standard tests done and they're told that everything is normal, or that they have gastritis or perhaps diverticulosis, but those are not causes of anything. Those are results of other things. And so we don't ever quite get down to the root causes until we do more functional gastrointestinal testing, or we use traditional Chinese medicine to find the root causes and treat them. So the findings on colonoscopy are never causes of anything. They're simply results of underlying things that the colonoscopy or the endoscopy does not see. Many of these disorders you will not see on x-rays, you will not see them on MRIs or CAT scans. And so you really do have to see a board certified integrative medical doctor for functional testing, or a doctor of Oriental medicine for a Chinese diagnosis and perhaps Chinese herbs or acupuncture. And yes, unfortunately, 80% of autoimmune disorders occur in women. And when we come back from this next commercial break, I will explain why that is so that you have a better understanding. So you're listening to Dream Vision 7 Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and this is Awakened Wellness, and we will be right back.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylaine the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylaine is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit RIOBE-integrativemedicine.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Join Dr. Bernie Siegel on Mind Health Matters every Thursday and Friday, 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Bernie will draw from his inspirational personal journey, offering us special nuggets of his sacred wisdom weaved through his delightful stories. Listen in as Bernie reminds us to be fully engaged in life.
Ever wonder what it's like to have your own radio show? Well, wonder no longer, because you can dip into the radio airwaves by being host for the day on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. It's a fabulous way to get your radio feet wet. It's an opportunity to market your business, modality, or book. Have a guest, mention a sponsor, and take callers. Or you may want to facilitate a lesson by going solo. It's up to you. Listeners can be online, mobile, in cars with Bluetooth, or listen through Amazon's Echo by asking, Alexa, play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. For more details, go to dreamvision7radio.com and click on Host for the Day.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Sit and read in the garden, explore the woodland trails, or try a daily yoga or meditation class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we're live. By the way, that question, I didn't notice it. I thought I was noticing something about your arms, but my God, you really have been working out. Look at those shoulders. Oh, goodness. Anyway, that's enough for me.
Yeah. It's just the shirt I'm wearing today, I guess. But yeah, I've been my coach forced me to work out since I was 17. So I won't tell you how old I am now, but it's been a long time.
Well, I think maybe I need to do something like that myself.
Yeah, call my coach; he'll get you. So there's just wanted to finish up on the last question, and we're back live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and you're listening to Awakened Wellness. We are talking about how to boost the immune system today. And that's the holy grail of wellness moving forward, right? Is how do we boost our immune systems? How do we keep ourselves, not on high vigilance because that wastes our energy, but how do we keep our immune system primed to respond, right? And we talked about breath work, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out being the magical number. So that's only 6 breaths per minute. And obviously you can't do that when you're active doing something, but when you're sitting still, that's a great time to practice. So if you're driving in your car, it's a good time. If you're in line at the grocery store, in the bathroom, anywhere, cooking, you can just breathe and do your breathing. And that really helps a lot. And so getting back to our last question about why is it that 80% of autoimmune disorders occur in women, right? And that goes back to a Chinese medicine premise. In Chinese medicine, it is known that women are of blood and men are of qi. And if we look at our evolutionary roles or genetic roles, if you will, purely from a genetic standpoint, we are nurturers. And as women, everything that we do as women that distinguishes us from men has to do with our blood. So we menstruate, right? Men do not menstruate. So every month we lose blood until we, from the time of puberty, menarche, through menopause. We're losing blood every month unless we're pregnant or breastfeeding. Now, when we are pregnant, we're using up a ton of blood because now we're feeding another entire human being or two for 9 months. So that consumes a lot of blood. And then also breast milk is made from blood. And so again, we're using up a lot of blood. Men don't have to do that, right? They are the hunter-gatherers, not the nurturers. Again, purely from a genetic place. So they don't lose blood every month unless they get stabbed on the hunt, right? So they don't lose blood. Now, the problem is stress. We talked about stress at the very beginning of the podcast and how it weakens immunity. Stress, according to Chinese medicine, consumes blood and also stagnates blood. So as women, we're running around blood deficient, right? If we're menstruating every month. And also people assume like when they go through menopause, they're going to get all their blood back. That doesn't happen because stress continues. And because stress wears out your blood supply, you don't really ever have a chance to gain it back unless you reduce the stress, right? And so even in menopause, many women are still blood deficient. And so because stress consumes blood, it uses up blood, we become even more blood deficient under stress. Men have a cushion, so they're not menstruating every month, they're not getting pregnant, they're not breastfeeding, so they have this cushion that buffers them against stress that we as women don't have. And you'd think, well, why would nature do that to us, right? Nature didn't do that to us. We did it to ourselves, right? So if you go way back and you look up women's menstrual histories, we didn't have birth control back then, so we didn't postpone pregnancies and things like that. So often women would get pregnant right at the onset of their menstrual cycles, right? The ages of 12 and 13 and 14, they would start having babies. And back then we didn't have formula, right? So we had to breastfeed these babies. So we were pregnant for 9 months, gave birth. If we survived and they survived, we would breastfeed them for years. So now we're lucky if we breastfeed our children for a couple months, we're patting ourselves on the back that we were able to even do that. Back then, we would breastfeed our kids for years until they were able to eat solid foods that, that were grown or hunted, right? And then we would get pregnant again. And so breastfeeding is natural birth control. So if you're breastfeeding around the clock, you don't menstruate, you don't bleed. So way back then, we would get pregnant, breastfeed for years, so we wouldn't be menstruating. And then we get pregnant again when we started menstruating again. And then we'd breastfeed for years again. So way back when, we only had a few menstrual cycles in our lifetime, right? Now we have 12 menstrual cycles a year. So we're losing blood artificially in modern society that we did not do earlier. And so this poses a problem. And this is why women have more autoimmune disorders than men, because the immune system is a blood dependent system. Now, that doesn't mean it derives from the circulation of blood, but it is blood dependent. So your blood goes everywhere, through your capillaries, et cetera. It carries oxygen, it carries vitamins and minerals. And so wherever your blood can reach, those nutrients, those factors will be carried around in your body. And so many, not all autoimmune patterns in traditional Chinese medicine are blood dependent, but many are. And that is why women have more autoimmune diseases. So it's even more important for women to manage their stress than it is for men for that reason. And so unfortunately, we always seem to have to do more work than men. Had a couple come into the office recently and I evaluated them both. And of course, the man ended up on, many fewer supplements than his wife. His wife had to be on more supplements. He had to be on a few. Called him up for a 2-month follow-up. His blood pressure is back to normal. He's feeling great. His wife, on the other hand, she's like taking all these supplements and she's still not quite there, right? So he had high blood pressure. He was on blood pressure medication, and we're already talking about him needing to go off of his blood pressure medication. Meanwhile, she's just started her journey. Rachel, can we take an early commercial break? My computer is not charging for some reason, and it's
of course
showing me a low battery. So if we can go to commercial break, and then we'll come right back.
Let's do that.
All right. Thank you.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylaine the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylaine is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit RIOBE Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Edesia is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods. Edesia has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join Edesia's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edesiaglobal.org.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we're back. And you're not back. Hold on. Can't hear you. There we go. There we go. Sorry, you were muted.
I think I'm having some trouble here. My computer will not charge. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Oh, no.
Can we switch over to phone?
Oh, sure you can. Yeah, sure. Do that.
How do I get the link on my phone? I apologize to the viewers and the listeners. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Go to your Zoom on your phone.
Okay.
And let me see if I can find the number. Here we go. The number you need to find. Oh, that's weird. Oh, there it is. 883.
So do I join up? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, join in the meeting. 883 695 3587. There you are. Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted. You're muted still.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
All right. There we go. Okay. Well,
Disaster averted, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Sorry about that.
That's live. That's what happens when you're live.
It just will not charge. I don't know what happened. All right.
Okay.
For another day. So my apologies. We are back finally. You are listening to Awakened Wellness. I am your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and we're back. So I don't know how I'm going to look at the questions now, Rachel. So maybe you just interrupt me and I'll have you read them to me. Can that work?
Yes, it can. It can. I could look for what they sent. Are you ready for a question now?
Sure.
Okay, let me go find it. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, so we can just talk meanwhile. So it's important for women in particular to boost their immune system through stress management. And then, of course, we'll talk in a little bit about the importance of sleep. That's one of the most important aspects of boosting immunity, is getting enough sleep. It is while you sleep that you restore your immune system, that you assimilate the food you ate during the day, that you restore the body. And so it's critical to also sleep. And women tend to need more sleep than men for the same reason, because we are blood-oriented beings, and stress consumes blood. It turns out that we make blood when we sleep. So that's why women need more sleep than men. So any questions?
Yes, I got a question from the viewer saying that they get, I can't quite read it because I go back and forth. I like to, but basically she's saying that she has some issues with some pains, knee ache, a lot of times hives and stuff. Go to the doctor, and whether they always get an injection of steroids or a 7-day thing of steroids, and that she says it makes her feel bad. She can't sleep, and she tends to spend a lot of money. And she's wondering, is that really the best way to treat this kind of stuff, or is there something better for treating these type issues?
Definitely something better. Steroids really should be reserved for life-threatening conditions and not for ongoing conditions. Steroids, in particular prednisone, which is a brand name steroid, it has been on the market for a very long time. It can safely be used in short term, but unfortunately we use it for anything, and it's like taking a sledgehammer to your immune system. And so it will stop inflammation dead in its tracks, but the problem is it comes at a cost. So prednisone is a steroid that mimics cortisol, which is our chronic stress hormone. Cortisol is our natural hormone that our body uses to manage stress. And so prednisone is 40 times, that's 40 times stronger than our own body's cortisol. The problem is when you take something that is that much stronger than what your body would do, is it starts to wear out that system and it starts to shut it down. So when people use prednisone too much or too often, what happens is the system that produces cortisol will stop producing cortisol. And now, even after you withdraw the prednisone, that system doesn't ever quite recover. That is the adrenal system. The adrenal system makes cortisol. The other problem we see is if you use too much prednisone, what will happen is your adrenal system will try and calm that whole thing down. And through the making of another hormone called DHEA. DHEA is the anti-cortisol. So it is the undoer of stress in your body. So cortisol will make your blood pressure go up, your blood sugar go up, and your pulse go up because it's preparing you to manage fight or flight. DHEA does the exact opposite. It lowers blood pressure, lowers blood sugar, lowers pulse rate so that it can bring the body back into balance and harmony after the stress is over. So when you're taking prednisone, it's as though you're pumping out 40 times more cortisol than usual, and now your body is pumping out as much DHEA as it can. It's going to run out of DHEA. And so you're going to end up with high blood pressure, possibly even diabetes, weight gain, all the things that we see with chronic steroid use is because of the impact on the adrenal system. And so what else can you do, right? That's a hard question to answer, but one thing that most people can do quite safely is use turmeric. And again, you can kind of see if the areas that hurt are hot when you touch them or red, that means that there's heat. And so cooling those areas down can help. So ice, potentially cryotherapy can help. Acupuncture can also help. There are some very good Chinese herbs that help with pain, but you'd have to be diagnosed specifically to be treated with those. If you're the type of person that's cold, then things that will warm the areas will help you, like heating pad, infrared saunas are excellent. Warm teas, cinnamon tea, ginger, anything that is warming. Turmeric is also warming, will help. And heating pads to the area will help quite a bit. Even sometimes like a little bit of cayenne pepper, if you're cold. So if your body temperature is too low, 97 and change, and you're having these aches and pains, it's because of the coldness inside your body. So when your body is cold, it gets stiff and achy. And so you want to warm those areas up. But if it's hot to touch or it's red, if your joint is red and hot, you don't want to use cayenne pepper. You don't want to use spicy things. You don't want to use heat. You want to use the opposite. But acupuncture, Chinese herbs work extremely well for aches and pains. Infrared saunas work really well. There are many modalities you can explore. And stretching. A lot of times, aches and pains are simply because people don't stretch. And a lot of injuries to joints, a lot of arthritis, stems from not stretching, not keeping the muscles in the joints loose. And so it's important to warm up, stretch like every single day. And the test that I tell people, especially when they have lower back pain or knee pain, is can you touch your toes without bending your knees? And if the answer is no, then you're too stiff and you need to stretch more. So, and Epsom salt soaks also can work wonders for people. And you can put, Epsom salt, magnesium salt. You can also put in there Himalayan sea salt. The minerals getting into the muscles will help. So hope that helps answer your question. And I got to look at my watch for the time. So we've got plenty of time. Any more questions, Rachel?
Yeah, but right now I was trying to touch my toes. See if that works. And what I got out of your... I shouldn't be talking, but what I got out of that last thing was if I have aches and pains, might be a good excuse to eat some ice cream to see if that helps cool my body.
No, that did not come out of my mouth, but
not even sound like that. Okay, we got our question. Our friends in Missouri. Again, this couple has some more issues. Apparently, he believes that her cats help lower her blood pressure and make her feel better and help her immune system, but she has quite a few cats. But there's been some articles and stuff lately about a parasite in cats that caused some brain injuries to men. And now her husband's upset because he was worried that it might be affecting him. So he wants her to get rid of the cats. Her question is, are cats really that good for her immune system? And that parasite thing for men is just some kind of hoopla. That's her question. Is it hoopla? Does cats help her? And she appears to be always fighting with her old man about something.
Beer, steaks.
Beer, call the doctor.
Ditch the guy, keep the cat. I don't know. No, but seriously, yes, pets have been shown to definitely help manage stress. So cats, dogs, whatever, your favorite pet might be, the fact that the companionship, the relationship, there have been some pretty decent studies to show that pets help people manage their stress. Now, again, cats have been carrying parasites and bacteria and bugs since they landed on the planet, right? So again, this is not an issue of do cats cause infections? This is an issue of, is our immune system that weak that we catch every little bug that comes by? So it's really more of a situation of boosting your own immunity. Everything has bacteria. We're not going to escape bacteria. It's everywhere. They are everywhere. Every surface that you touch. In fact, we require them to even live, right? If there were no bacteria on this planet, we would not even exist. It is because of bacteria that we exist at all. most of the body is bacterial in nature, in terms of the numbers of cells in your body. So there are more bugs in your own body than you actually have cells of your own. And so this idea that we have to sterilize everything is just not true. It's simply, we have to learn to live in balance with the other bugs that occupy our planet, whether they're on our pets or not on our pets. It shouldn't really matter. Obviously, if the cat has an infection, you want to treat that infection because you don't want your cat to get sick. You don't want to get sick. But in terms of the normal, bugs that are on everything, our pets and other people, et cetera, that's just normal. That's how the ecosystem of the planet works. And so it's about balance, right? So we need to look at the fundamentals. One is stress management. Two is sleep. Men require 7 hours of sleep minimum. Women require 8 hours of sleep minimum. It is when we sleep that everything gets boosted and restored. So if you're chronically sleep deprived, either because you don't go to bed on time or you have to get up too early or you don't sleep well, your immune system will suffer for that. And so making sure that you correct sleep. So one of the most important things is to go to bed on time, on time. The golden hour is between 10 and 11, right? That's when your body starts to go into restorative mode, if you will. And so if you go to bed at like 1 or 2, and this was a lesson I had to learn personally, I loved going to bed late and getting up late. That was just my favorite thing to do because for whatever reason, my brain worked better between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I learned, okay, that's not appropriate for long term because, there are certain cycles of your sleep that take place between 10 and 2. You start to make melatonin between 10 and 2. If you go to bed after 2, you didn't make melatonin that night. And that's a problem because that helps balance your mood and it does all kinds of other things. And so getting to bed on time and making sure you're actually sleeping fairly uninterrupted for 8 hours if you're a woman, 7 hours if you're a man, is extremely important. And heavy metals is another big one. We are being inundated with heavy metals. They're everywhere. The internet, unfortunately, is producing more and more heavy metals due to the massive amount of hardware that is required to store the incalculable amount of data that we spew out every time we pick up the phone, use the laptop. All that data has to be stored somewhere, and it's stored in hardware. We don't see it. We think there's a cloud somewhere, but it's hardware, it's computers. And so the operation of these computers 24/7 is spewing metals and toxins into our atmosphere. Estimates are that it's worse than the oil industry. And so we are being inundated with that. And heavy metals are known, very well known, to reduce immunity. And so it's almost becoming imperative that people be tested for heavy metals on a regular basis and be treated for heavy metal toxicity if they exist. And so, the big ones we know about: lead, mercury, aluminum is a big one, cadmium from cigarette smoke, what else? Gosh, gallium, gadolinium from MRIs, platinum from jewelry and chemotherapy. There are about 20 to 23 different heavy metals that if you are exposed to them, they can cause some pretty significant damage to your immune system. And they also prefer fatty tissue. So brain and liver will be significantly impacted by heavy metals. But that is definitely an extremely important target, is for people to find a reliable physician who can test them for heavy metals. The gold standard is urine, testing for the metals in the urine. Now, the problem is metals don't like to come out in the urine. And so the person interpreting your test result has to know that. And so they have to interpret the test results accordingly. Just because the levels are normal in the urine doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the metal in your body. So it's almost coming to the point where we need to be dewormed like our dogs, in terms of heavy metals. So we need to be safely detoxed, safely demetallized, if that's a word, to have these very dangerous, very toxic metals removed from the body on a consistent basis. I often tell people, well, look for the source, but it's becoming increasingly impossible to find the source because the source is the air, the water, the soil. And so, yes, if there's an obvious source, clearly you want to find it and get rid of it. You want to have the water coming into your home tested. You want to eat as much organic food as you can. Yes, the organic supply can also be contaminated, but it is safer in general than the non-organic food supply, hands down. Is it perfect? No, but it's much safer. And so those are some of the major things that we need to look out for if we really want to boost our immune system. So Rachel, probably have time for maybe one more quick question if any have come in.
We don't have any come in, but as you're talking about heavy metals, I was thinking about an article I read recently about the plastics, these microplastics that are everything. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. So plastics are estrogen mimickers. And so what they do is they bind to estrogen receptors in your body. Part of the issue is they prevent your own estrogen from working. And the other issue there is they keep stimulating your cells to grow and grow and grow and grow. And so that can lead to cancer. And I can't remember the entire list of diseases that plastics are responsible for, at least partly, but plastics are a huge toxin. There are many toxins in our environment. And yes, they would also prevent proper immune system function. So using glass bottles instead of plastic bottles for water, not storing food in plastic, definitely do not microwave anything in plastic. I mean, I wouldn't recommend microwaving anyway, but when you microwave in plastic, you're literally cooking the plastic into your food. So yes, plastic is a huge toxin. And the list of toxins goes on and on. We're exposed to over 200 of them before we even leave our homes on an average day. So again, as much as you can remove these things from your life, the better, but it's going to be impossible to remove them all. And so it's important to have vigilance and to know how to keep the body cleansing itself appropriately, and eating properly. Antioxidants are a huge one. Antioxidants help protect the mouth and the nose from infection. So one of the reasons we know that people were catching COVID despite the vaccine was because the vaccine does not protect the mouth and the nose. And what was happening in the mouth and the nose is people did not have enough antioxidants in their system to recycle the system that would protect them. And so antioxidants are extremely important for immune boosting. And I think that's all the time we have, Rachel.
That's it. It was a good
All
show.
right.
Interesting. I learned a lot.
All right.
So
Thanks
now I can blame plastic on my weight gain, and that's why I can't touch my toes. So I got ice cream in the freezer, so I'm ready. No, just being sarcastic. I'll see you later.
Well,
great show.
Thank you everyone for listening. You've been listening to Awaken Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe. Thank you for your patience with our technical difficulties, and until next time, many blessings.
Join us next time on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD, to learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness. Awakened Wellness airs every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern of each month. Meanwhile, you can join our Facebook page at facebook.com/awakened wellness and let us know what you'd like to discuss on future episodes. Dr. Mylaine is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. This show is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment.